All right, what are your financial tips? The National Treasury is asking ordinary South Africans for their views in its pre-budget consultation process. South Africa is one of 5 pilot countries participating in a Fiscal Openness Accelerator Project. On this, Deputy Director General at the Budget Office at National Treasury, Edgar Sishi. Mr. Sishi, thank you for joining us. So this is for the medium-term budget policy statement, is that correct? We call it the mid-term budget?
That's correct. It's for the medium-term budget policy statement, but it's also for the medium-term expenditure framework. In other words, any recommendations, suggestions, and submissions made will be taken into account and discussed as it relates to the actual budget over the next 3 years.
All right, and you've done this before. This is the second year. So you asked for comments last year. How did it go?
I think it was the first try in having a sort of virtual meetings and presentations from different contributors. It had some challenges, but in the main, we received some very interesting contributions, both in terms of the tax and expenditure side of the budget. And also, we noticed that there's a lot of vigorous opposing views that we have to take into account.
Can you give me an example of an issue that sparked massive debate?
Well, I think when it comes to tax, people have very different views. So, for example, one of the things that's been discussed has been around how to fund social services, as well as how to address the fiscal gap in the budget. Some people are of the view that you can do that through raising taxes, particularly on some of our high-income earners, and other people were of the opposite view. What I do know is that nobody was advocating for raising taxes on themselves.
That is never the case. Is this a more formal process than what previous finance ministers used to do? Remember tips for Trevor, but that seemed quite informal.
So that's still going to happen, by the way. So we're going to have a tips process prior to the budget in February. So this is in addition to that, we're giving the public and other stakeholders an opportunity to make submissions well in advance of tabling. But the tips process is still going to happen before the budget.
Okay, ideas for Enoch or something like that. Tell us about the Fiscal Openness Accelerator Project. What does it hope to achieve? Getting ordinary people involved, and how did we become one of 5 pilot countries?
So we have always, as a country, been committed to fiscal transparency. As you know, for many years, we have ranked among the top 2 or 3 countries in the transparency of our budget documents and the transparency of our fiscal process. If you go to other countries, if you look particularly in Northern Hemisphere countries, you will find it very difficult. This surprises many people to hear, but you'll find it very difficult to figure out all of the ins and outs of the spending and tax decisions. And South Africa stands out as one of the few countries which has a very transparent and relatively easy to understand budget. And the Fiscal Openness Accelerator Project was launched in 2019 by a group called the International Budget Partnership and the Global Initiative for Fiscal Transparency. And because we have been committed to the openness and to ranking highly in the openness scores, we wanted to participate in that process.
All right, while I've got you, I hope we don't have to debate this, but I'd love to know what Treasury is going to do. I don't know if you can tell me, but the can was kicked down the road, as it's proverbially said, regarding Eskom's debt. So last week, the president announced this emergency plan, saying Treasury would be the one outlining what South Africa will do with Eskom's debt, 400 billion rand, and it's been discussed for years and years and years. Eskom just simply saying its finances are unsustainable. Can you give me any insight?
Well, the only insight I can tell you will get is the one you'll get in the medium-term budget policy statement. What I can say, though, is that it is much more important to actually fix Eskom's ability to supply electricity and maintain its financial sustainability for the country as part of any discussion about its debt. I think that for most people, that's the most important thing, and rightfully so.
Sure, and there's expected to be another bailout. Can you confirm that for South Africa to find 400 billion rand, however creatively it can be done, it's going to be difficult?
Well, the debt is on Eskom's books, and it's related to the activities that Eskom has borrowed money from. But I can't give any confirmations of what the state is going to do until such time as the budget is tabled.
Would that equally apply to something else that has been debated a lot, a basic income grant, calls for different levels, just for really sustainable support for the poor and unemployed?
Well, as we said, both in the medium-term budget policy statement of 2021, as well as the February budget, when the minister presented the budget, he made it very clear that at this time, we have the grant up until the end of the social relief of distress grant until the end of March. And between then, when March arrives and, any time during the course of the year, as you know, there will be discussions that are underway, and those decisions will be announced in the budget.
All right, Mr. Sishi, you're not giving much away, but people who would like to take part in this open debate, hopefully you will take any comments seriously. Can you remind us of the email address? How do they contact Treasury?
So the email address for all submissions, and just a reminder that we ask that the submissions be kept to a maximum of 10 pages. We ask that the emails be sent to FOA submissions at treasury.gov.za by the 19th of August.
All right, and we've just put that up on the screen, FOA submissions at treasury.gov.za. If you'd like to tell Treasury how best our taxpayers' money should be spent. Thank you very much. That was the Deputy Director General Budget Office at the National Treasury, Edgar Sishi.